The Prime Minister heads overseas this evening, this time to attend the NATO summit in Lisbon. The two-day talks will focus on a phased exit from Afghanistan for US and NATO forces. The Afghan President, Hamid Karzai, wants Afghan security forces to be in charge there by August 2014. This week's summit is expected to formally endorse that plan and give more details on a military handover from NATO-led forces. Today, Prime Minister Julia Gillard will wrap up the parliamentary debate on Australia's role in Afghanistan, a war which has seen 21 Australian soldiers killed. Ahead of what will be a 55-hour round trip to Portugal, also she can be back in her seat for question time next week, the Prime Minister joins us now. Julia Gillard, good morning.
Good morning, Fran.
Prime Minister, this NATO summit, will it formally agree to the 2014 timeline for handing over security, or transitioning, as we like to say now, to the Afghan National Security Forces?
Fran, the focus of this summit is going to be on transitioning, to use your word, which of course means handing over leadership from international forces to Afghan-led forces. 2014 is the time frame that President Karzai has indicated he wants, and he wants to see Afghan leadership of security. But my message at Lisbon, in the context of these NATO discussions, will be that we've got to have transition place by place in a conditions-based way. Our eyes shouldn't be on the calendar, they should be on the ground and working out whether the time to transition is right, whether the Afghan security forces are ready to take leadership transition over, and particularly are ready to take it over forever. My message to the Parliament, and the same message will be taken by me to Lisbon, has been we shouldn't transition out only to have to transition back in sometime later.
Does that mean
irreversibility is very important.
I beg your pardon. Does that mean you will be arguing against a fixed 2014 timeline?
I'm not arguing against what President Karzai has said. He has set an aspiration for his nation and his people, and that's entirely appropriate. But we need, as we move place by place to transition, to be satisfied that conditions are right on the ground, and that will be at the centre of the discussions at these NATO talks. In addition, I will be making the point that we've got to ensure our commitment to Afghanistan is one for the long term. I made the point when I spoke in the parliamentary debate, when I opened the debate in the Parliament, that we are in the phase now of having security forces there, and we're talking about transition to Afghan-led security leadership. But our engagement with Afghanistan and our support of Afghanistan will endure beyond that as we help build governance and as we help with aid and assistance questions. And I did make the point in the Parliament too that building a democracy there, I believe, is the work of a generation of Afghan people. So this is going to be a long-term commitment, but the shape of the commitment will change over time.
Just in terms of building a democracy, plenty of people who've living through the process at the moment say that things aren't looking good on that front. If I'm quoting Malala Joya, a former female MP in the Afghan parliament, she says the situation in most Afghan provinces for women and girls hasn't changed, and she's given up hope of any positive change at the ballot box.
Fran, what I would say is we're making progress on security conditions on the ground. We are training the Afghan National Army. We are training police. We need to do that in order to have security go to the Afghan national people, the Afghan leadership and the Afghan people, obviously, in security control of their nation. There are aid works also happening, including building schools which educate girls. But the issue there is that is very donor-led, international organisation-led. Ultimately, that has to become the work of the Afghan people and Afghan nation. And then building democracy, obviously, is the work of Afghan people for themselves. We can assist by providing aid and support and advice about building governance structures, but ultimately it is the Afghan people who need to shape their democracy.
Back on the security front, there's a media report today claiming that NATO planners will ask for more Australian troops to fight in the Kandahar province, so we're already in Oruzgan, after Canada pulls out its force next year. Have you had any formal or informal approaches about providing more soldiers?
I haven't had any formal or informal approaches about providing more soldiers, as is on the public record, both from me and from Defence Minister Smith. We are in discussions. We've agreed to provide some additional artillery trainers, so that has been agreed. There is a proposal about increased police trainers, and we are considering that. But Fran, I've always said, and I'm very happy to say again, that the Australian government believes that our contribution to Afghanistan is about right.
So that'd be a no if you are asked for more troops?
Well, there's a question of mix, Fran, between who is doing what job and who is doing what kind of training. But in terms of the total level of the contribution, we are the biggest non-NATO contributor. We have increased our contribution by 40% in the last 12 months. So we're doing a fair bit. We're obviously prepared to talk about what's the right mix as we go through and train the Afghan National Army in Oresgon, the province in which we're working, and we also train police.
It's 12 minutes past 8 on RM Breakfast. Our guest this morning in our Parliament House studio is Prime Minister Julia Gillard. Prime Minister, can we go to domestic issues now? Senators are demanding that you release the NBN business plan. We had Senator Nick Xenophon earlier telling us that every day the government holds up the release of the business plan is a day the government's case is diminished. Will you release it next week as the Senate is demanding?
Well, I'm very respectful of Senator Xenophon. Obviously, he's from South Australia and I'm a Adelaide girl, so you would expect me to say that. But I'm going to have to disagree with him on this occasion.
Why?
NBN is the biggest infrastructure project this nation has ever undertaken. The government has received an extensive business case. It's more than 400 pages. It obviously contains some very in-detailed work, and we are going to put a fine-tooth comb through it. That's what we are doing now, and we have said we will release the business case in December. I believe it's absolutely proper and absolutely appropriate for the government to be there with that fine-tooth comb.
Isn't it absolutely proper and appropriate for the Parliament to have oversight of the business case for the biggest infrastructure project ever undertaken? Isn't that appropriate?
The business case will be released publicly, Fran. Obviously, some matters are commercial in confidence matters, but the business case will be released publicly. Will be there for all to see.
Why is it taking so long? It's hard to get beyond the impression that this is a government trying to avoid scrutiny. You've got the business plan. You've had it for more than a week now. You've got another week in which to get across it. You could bring all the resources of Treasury, Finance, broadband departments to help you get across it. Why does it need to take so long?
Well, firstly, Fran, we're talking about a document of obviously great weight and technical description of more than 400 pages. I am leading a government that is going to be very careful, very methodical, and is going to take that approach to the oversight of the national broadband network, and we are doing that now. Yes, the business case will be available publicly. It will be available publicly in December. And Fran, of course, I anticipate when it's available publicly, we will see debate about what's in the business case. I mean, after all, Tony Abbott has said his political mission is to destroy the NBN. So he will be there trying to take a word or a figure out of context and distort that in the public debate. So all of that is in front of us. We'll have that public debate and the business case will be there, but the government will work its way through carefully, and we're doing that now.
It's a dangerous roll of the dice for you, isn't it? The NBN was a policy which attracted a lot of support from the independents, got some of them over the line in terms of supporting you. You're inviting a backlash here by not releasing it when they want to see it.
I believe, whether it's inside the Parliament or beyond, Australians want to see government being careful, being prudent, looking at the details, crossing the T's, dotting the I's. That's the kind of government I want to lead. That's exactly what we're doing with the NBN.